When I tell you that money is commanded by imagination, many of you hesitate. You say, but money is out there, in banks, in jobs, in other people's hands. How can I command it with something invisible? And yet, I tell you, nothing appears in your outer world that was not first accepted in your inner world. Imagination is not daydreaming. Imagination is creation. The world you see is but the shadow cast by the images you hold within yourself. And money, yes, even money, is no exception. It obeys imagination as faithfully as the body obeys breath. What you believe money to be, it becomes. If you imagine it scarce, it hides from you. If you imagine it cruel, it punishes you. If you imagine it abundant, it flows to you. You cannot separate your relationship to money from the pictures in your mind. So tonight, I will show you the hidden teaching. How to command money with imagination. Not beg for it, not chase it, command it. Every act of imagination, deeply felt, is an order issued to the unseen. The subconscious takes it as instruction. And life itself, being but the stage upon which imagination plays, must reorganize to make it so. Consider this. Have you not noticed how those who expect money seem always to have it? They may lose it, yet it returns. Their inner image is of wealth, so the outer world conforms. And others, though they strive endlessly, never seem to escape poverty. They may earn, but it slips away. Their inner image is of lack, and so life dutifully mirrors their belief. The difference is not work, nor chance, nor even talent. It is imagination. When I speak of commanding money, I do not mean arrogance. I mean authority. Money is a servant, not a master. It must obey the one who knows his imagination creates reality. To live otherwise is to bow to shadows, forgetting that you are the source of light. Here is the hidden formula. Assume the state of already having what you desire. Live as though the end were now. Feel it in your body, see it in your mind, rest in it with faith. Persist in this assumption until it feels natural. And then, without effort, without strain, the outer world reshapes itself to match. One man I knew earned a modest wage, yet desired a position of influence and higher income. Each night, as he lay in bed, he imagined himself shaking hands with a business associate who congratulated him on his success. He heard the words, "Well done, you've earned it." He felt the warmth of that handshake, the joy of accomplishment. He lived in the end. Within months, his circumstances shifted. He was promoted. His income multiplied. His life expanded. Another woman, weary of lack, began to imagine her purse heavy with money. She felt the weight of it, heard the crisp rustle of notes, pictured herself giving freely. In her imagination, she spent with joy, not fear. Soon, unexpected supply came. A gift, a raise, an inheritance. She said it felt as though life had been waiting for me to change my inner picture. You see, the law does not care for your current facts. It cares for your assumption. The outer world is yesterday's imagination made visible. If you wish to change it, change the image within. And so I ask you, what picture of money do you hold tonight? Is it lack? Is it struggle? Is it fear? Then command a new image. Command with imagination. Picture yourself as already supplied. Feel it, rest in it, and refuse to betray it with doubt. The world cannot resist a sustained inner command. Money is not an enemy. It is not a god. It is a servant, and imagination is the master. Speak with your inner vision, and it will obey. Now, as you listen to me, I want you to try something. Close your eyes and imagine holding in your hand a sum of money that thrills you. Do not think of it as future. Think of it as now. Feel the crispness. Hear the sound. Let gratitude well up in your chest. Whisper inwardly, "This is mine, for I have received it." Rest in that image. That is the command. That is the seed. Persist, and the harvest must come. And if these words resonate with you, share in the comments below. What end will you live in tonight? Declare it boldly, for your declaration is the first command. Subscribe and remain with us in Inner Alchemy, for we are unveiling the hidden teachings that make imagination the true currency of creation. You have been told all your life that money comes by struggle, by endless labor, by willpower exerted until you are weary. And yet, look around you. Do the hardest workers always have the most wealth? Does the one who sweats the most, who strains the most, who forces himself without ceasing, does he command abundance? You know it's not so. I tell you, hard work alone does not create wealth. If it did, the laborer would be the richest of men, and the dreamer would be poor. But the opposite is often true. Those who dare to imagine boldly live in riches, while those who bow to drudgery alone often live in want. This is not to despise effort. Effort has its place. But effort without imagination is slavery. Work becomes fruitful only when it is aligned with the image held in the mind. The outer action, without the inner assumption, is like planting seeds in barren ground. They cannot grow. Imagination, not effort, is the cause. Consider this. When you assume a state inwardly, the world must mirror it outwardly. Doors open, opportunities appear. Men and women are moved into position, not by your strain, but by the law. Imagination is the magnet that attracts conditions to itself. Effort is only the channel by which the imagined state becomes visible. A man once told me, "Neville, I have worked for 20 years and still I struggle to pay my rent." I asked him, "What image do you hold of yourself?" He replied, "I see myself as poor, unlucky, always behind." I said, "Then no amount of work can contradict your own vision. You are laboring against your imagination, and imagination always wins." He began instead to imagine himself free, prosperous, successful. He pictured his bills paid with ease, his home secure, his accounts filled. At first, it seemed foolish to him, for the outer facts denied it, but he persisted. Soon, opportunities arose: a promotion, a new contract, unexpected assistance. His outer effort now bore fruit, because the soil of imagination had been made fertile. This is the hidden teaching. It is not your will that creates, but your assumption. You may will yourself to save, to budget, to grind at work, and yet, if in imagination you still see yourself as poor, poverty will remain. The will is weak compared to imagination. The will struggles. Imagination commands. Understand the difference. The man of will says, "I will make this happen." He pushes, he strains, he resists opposition. The man of imagination says, "It is already so." He assumes the end, he rests in its reality, and the world conforms. Which one has the greater power? I tell you, imagination is creation itself. The law of assumption is simple. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persist. That assumption, sustained, hardens into fact. This is why Scripture says, "It is done unto you as you believe." Not as you strive, not as you sweat, but as you believe. Belief is nothing more than sustained imagination. I recall another man who said, "I have willed myself to save money, but something always happens. The car breaks, the job cuts hours, an expense arises." I asked him, What picture do you hold of yourself? He admitted, I see myself as someone who never gets ahead. I told him, replace that picture. Imagine yourself with a surplus. See the account growing. Feel the security of it. Rest in that state. He practiced faithfully. Within months, unexpected income flowed in, and this time it stayed. Why? Because his inner assumption had changed. He no longer imagined loss, so loss no longer ruled him. So I say to you, stop worshiping effort. Stop bowing to willpower as though it were God. Willpower is but a tool. The master is imagination. Command wealth inwardly and let effort follow as servant, not as master. Let me give you a simple practice. Each night, before you sleep, close your eyes and imagine one simple scene that would be true if your wealth were already real. Perhaps you are handing a gift freely, paying a bill with ease, receiving congratulations for success. See it, feel it, rest in it. Do not strain to will it. Simply assume it. The subconscious will take it and work through channels beyond your knowledge. In time, your effort will be guided effortlessly. You will find yourself taking steps, meeting people, making moves that align with your assumption. It will feel natural, inevitable. That is the beauty of the law. It does not tire you. It leads you. Do you see the difference? Effort pushes. Imagination pulls. Effort strains. Imagination allows. Effort doubts. Imagination rests. And so tonight I ask you, which will you choose? To continue sweating under the tyranny of will, or to step into the mastery of imagination? The choice is always yours. If these words stir you, share below. What wealth scene will you assume tonight? Declare it boldly, for by writing it, you claim it. And subscribe, for in Inner Alchemy, we unveil the hidden teachings that free you from slavery to effort and awaken you to the true power, imagination, the master key to wealth. The law of assumption is not a passing fancy. It is not something you try for a day or two and then abandon. No, it must be sustained. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is simple. To persist in that assumption until the outer world reshapes itself, that is the discipline. But do not mistake discipline for strain. Discipline in imagination is simply faith maintained. It is the refusal to betray the end once you have claimed it. It is the quiet decision to live in the unseen reality until the seen bows to it. When I say live in the end, I mean dwell there as though no other state exists. If you desire wealth, do not flirt with the thought for a moment, only to abandon it at the first sign of lack. Take up residence in wealth inwardly. See yourself as wealthy. Think from that state. Act as though it were so, not with pretense, but with faith. Many begin with zeal, imagining their desire with fervor, but soon they look at the outer facts and doubt creeps in. They say, nothing has changed, it must not be working. And in that moment, they abandon the assumption. They uproot the seed. Do not do this. Do not dig up what you have planted. Trust the law. If you persist in imagination, the outer must conform. It is not a question of if, but of when. Persistence is not forcing the image day and night. It is gently returning to it when doubt arises. It is reminding yourself of the end whenever you are tempted to believe the evidence of the senses. A man once told me, Neville, I tried imagining wealth, but my bank account shows otherwise. How can I persist when facts deny me? I said to him, you are mistaken in thinking the outer facts are greater than the inner vision. The outer is but yesterday's assumption. Look past it. Continue to assume wealth, and in time the outer must obey. And so he did. Whenever doubt arose, he returned to the image of himself supplied. When fear whispered, he answered with faith. In time, the facts shifted. He told me it was as though the world gave way before me. And I replied, no, my friend, the world did not give way. It obeyed. Let me give you a method to sustain assumption. Each night before sleep, replay a short imaginal scene that would be true if your desire were fulfilled. Keep it simple. Feel the joy of it. Fall asleep in that state. In the morning, recall it again, even briefly. Throughout the day, when doubt arises, quietly return to the end. Whisper to yourself, it is already done. This is persistence. Another method is revision. When a memory of failure surfaces, do not dwell on it. Revise it in imagination. See yourself succeeding instead. If you recall a time of lack, picture abundance there. By revising the past, you free yourself from its grip and reinforce the new assumption. I once counseled a woman who constantly replayed scenes of rejection. Each night, she fell asleep rehearsing them. I told her, revise the scene. Imagine instead being welcomed, loved, accepted. Replay that version until it feels real. She did, and soon her outer life changed to match the revision. New relationships formed, old wounds healed. She said, it was as though the past itself had shifted. This is the power of revision, to sustain the assumption by rewriting memory itself. Remember, what you imagine repeatedly becomes natural. What is natural hardens into fact. At first, imagining wealth may feel strange. You may say, this is not me, but persist. The more you dwell in the state, the more natural it becomes. And once it feels natural, the world cannot resist. It must conform. Think of a child learning to walk. At first, it is awkward, unsteady, but with persistence, it becomes natural. Soon the child no longer thinks of walking. He simply does it. So too with assumption. Persist until wealth feels natural, until abundance feels like home. Then the world will mirror it. So I ask you now, will you persist or will you abandon your seed at the first wind of doubt? Will you revise or will you rehearse failure? The choice is yours. Comment below. What assumption will you persist in tonight? Write it, claim it, seal it, and subscribe. For here in Inner Alchemy, we are not dabbling in imagination, but mastering it, until what is unseen becomes seen, what is assumed becomes fact, and wealth obeys the command of your vision. Doubt is the thief of imagination. Impatience is its saboteur. Together, they rob you of the harvest that is already on its way. When you assume the feeling of wealth fulfilled, the seed is planted. The soil of the subconscious has received it. But many of you, the very next morning, rush to see if it has sprouted. You look at your bank account and say, nothing has changed. You look at your circumstances and cry, where is it? In that moment, you abandon the end and return to the old state of lack. The farmer does not plant a seed in the evening and dig it up in the morning to check its roots. He trusts the soil. He waters. He waits. He rests in assurance. So must you with imagination. Once the end is assumed, trust it. Do not betray it with doubt. You ask, but Neville, how can I dissolve doubt when the facts deny me? I tell you, the facts are yesterday's creations. They are shadows of old assumptions. To cling to them is to worship ghosts. Look not to the past, but to the end you have chosen. Refuse to measure today by what was, and measure it instead by what must be. One man told me, Neville, I imagine wealth, but every time I see a bill, doubt rises. When you see the bill, revise it. Imagine it stamped, paid in full. Feel the relief, the gratitude. Replace the image of debt with the image of supply. He obeyed, and soon his debts were cleared. His faith had triumphed over doubt. Another woman confessed, "I'm impatient. I imagine, but if the answer does not come quickly, I give up." I said, "You are like a gardener who rips out the sprout because it is not yet a tree. Be patient. Every assumption has its appointed hour. If you persist, it will unfold in perfect time. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. Impatience is born of fear, the fear that the law will fail. But the law never fails. It is impartial, unchanging, eternal. Only your wavering interrupts the process. So when doubt whispers, "It is not working," answer gently, "It is done." When impatience cries, "Why so long?" reply calmly, "In divine order, all unfolds perfectly." Speak to your mind as you would to a restless child, not with anger, but with assurance. Let me give you a practice. When doubt arises, do not fight it. Fighting only magnifies it. Instead, return to the end. Close your eyes and feel again the scene fulfilled. Breathe deeply. Rest in it. Each time you do, you strengthen the new state. Persistence is not never wavering. It is returning quickly when you waver. Doubt is dissolved not by force, but by repetition of faith. Do you see now? The great enemy is not the world, nor men, nor chance. It is the inner voice of doubt, and the great weapon against it is assumption renewed. Each time doubt speaks, answer with the end. Each time impatience rises, answer with trust. I tell you, wealth is commanded not by force, but by faith. The outer world may appear unchanged, but the seed is alive beneath the soil. The moment you assume, creation begins. Trust the unseen process. So I ask you tonight, will you allow doubt to rob you, or will you stand in faith until the harvest appears? Comment below the words, "I trust the law," if you choose faith. By writing it, you reinforce the end. And subscribe, for in Inner Alchemy, we are not slaves to impatience or doubt. We are masters of imagination and masters of time itself, knowing that the unseen is already ours, and the seen will follow in due season. Doubt is the thief of imagination. Impatience is its saboteur. Together, they rob you of the harvest that is already on its way. When you assume the feeling of wealth fulfilled, the seed is planted. The soil of the subconscious has received it. But many of you, the very next morning, rush to see if it has sprouted. You look at your bank account and say, "Nothing has changed." You look at your circumstances and cry, "Where is it?" In that moment, you abandon the end and return to the old state of lack. The farmer does not plant a seed in the evening and dig it up in the morning to check its roots. He trusts the soil. He waters. He waits. He rests in assurance. So must you with imagination. Once the end is assumed, trust it. Do not betray it with doubt. You ask, "But Neville, how can I dissolve doubt when the facts deny me?" I tell you, the facts are yesterday's creations. They are shadows of old assumptions. To cling to them is to worship ghosts. Look not to the past, but to the end you have chosen. Refuse to measure today by what was, and measure it instead by what must be. One man told me, "Neville, I imagine wealth, but every time I see a bill, doubt rises. When you see the bill, revise it. Imagine it stamped, paid in full. Feel the relief, the gratitude. Replace the image of debt with the image of supply. He obeyed, and soon his debts were cleared. His faith had triumphed over doubt. Another woman confessed, "I'm impatient. I imagine, but if the answer does not come quickly, I give up." I said, "You are like a gardener who rips out the sprout because it is not yet a tree. Be patient. Every assumption has its appointed hour. If you persist, it will unfold in perfect time. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. Impatience is born of fear, the fear that the law will fail. But the law never fails. It is impartial, unchanging, eternal. Only your wavering interrupts the process. So when doubt whispers, "It is not working," answer gently, "It is done." When impatience cries, "Why so long?" reply calmly, "In divine order, all unfolds perfectly." Speak to your mind as you would to a restless child, not with anger, but with assurance. Let me give you a practice. When doubt arises, do not fight it. Fighting only magnifies it. Instead, return to the end. Close your eyes and feel again the scene fulfilled. Breathe deeply. Rest in it. Each time you do, you strengthen the new state. Persistence is not never wavering. It is returning quickly when you waver. Doubt is dissolved not by force, but by repetition of faith. Do you see now? The great enemy is not the world, nor men, nor chance. It is the inner voice of doubt, and the great weapon against it is assumption renewed. Each time doubt speaks, answer with the end. Each time impatience rises, answer with trust. I tell you, wealth is commanded not by force, but by faith. The outer world may appear unchanged, but the seed is alive beneath the soil. The moment you assume, creation begins. Trust the unseen process. So I ask you tonight, will you allow doubt to rob you, or will you stand in faith until the harvest appears? Comment below the words, "I trust the law," if you choose faith. By writing it, you reinforce the end. And subscribe, for in Inner Alchemy, we are not slaves to impatience or doubt. We are masters of imagination and masters of time itself, knowing that the unseen is already ours, and the seen will follow in due season. Money is not meant to be stored away like dead weight. It is movement. It is circulation. It is energy clothed in form. And if you would command it, you must see it not as stagnant, but as flowing through you like blood through the body. Consider this. When blood ceases to flow, the body suffers. When money ceases to circulate, life becomes restricted. Hoarding, grasping, clinging. These are states of fear, and fear cuts off the flow. But generosity, faith, and circulation keep the current alive. I tell you, the image you hold of money will decide whether it flows to you or away from you. If you imagine it scarce, you grasp at it, and in grasping, you choke its movement. If you imagine it abundant, you allow it to pass through your hands freely, and in that freedom, more arrives. One man once said to me, "Neville, I save every penny, but still, I never have enough." I told him, "You imagine lack. Your savings are hoarded in fear, not in faith. That vibration repels more supply. Instead, imagine yourself giving freely. See yourself spending with joy, knowing that infinite supply replenishes you. Imagine circulation, not stagnation." He obeyed, and his life changed. His income grew, and for the first time, he felt ease, not fear, when handling money. Another woman told me, "I fear generosity, for I may lose what little I have." I said to her, "You are like one who holds her breath in fear of losing air. But life is breath, And breath is circulation. So too with money. Release it in imagination and watch it return multiplied. She practiced imagining herself giving, tithing, blessing others. Soon, opportunities came that multiplied her income. She said, "It was as though life itself rewarded my generosity." Understand, imagination is the command center of circulation. If you imagine money as movement, it flows. If you imagine money as static, it resists. This is why I tell you, see yourself not merely as one who possesses, but as one through whom wealth moves. Imagine yourself paying bills easily, giving gifts joyfully, investing wisely, receiving gratefully. See the current of money moving in and out of your life like a river, never stagnant, always renewed. Do not imagine piles of money locked away. That is death to the flow. Instead, imagine activity, circulation, life. The subconscious accepts this image and arranges circumstances to match. Think of it this way. The subconscious is like a divine banker. It keeps the account not of what you earn only, but of how you imagine money. If you imagine scarcity, it reduces your supply. If you imagine abundance, it increases your flow. Here is a practice for you. Each night, as you close your eyes, picture yourself receiving money into your hands. Feel the joy of it. Then, picture yourself giving some away to a friend, a cause, a bill, a purchase. See the cycle complete itself. Receive, use, give, and receive again. Let the image repeat until it feels natural. This rhythm will impress the subconscious, and the outer world will follow. I tell you, wealth is not storage, it is motion. Money is not master, it is servant. Do not fear its coming or going. Command it by imagination, and you will always find it flowing back to you. So tonight, ask yourself, what image of money do you hold? Is it locked in fear or moving in freedom? The choice is yours. Declare in the comments, money flows freely through me. Let that be your vow. And subscribe, for in Inner Alchemy, we teach not the worship of wealth, but the mastery of its flow, commanded by imagination, aligned with divine circulation. All command begins with identity. You cannot command money as a beggar. You cannot command wealth while secretly imagining yourself poor. For the subconscious does not obey your words alone. It obeys who you believe yourself to be. When I say live in the end, I mean live as the one who already possesses. The assumption is not only about money in your hands, it is about wealth in your being. You must first become wealthy within, before the outer reflects it. If in imagination you see yourself always striving, always lacking, always one step behind, no affirmation will rescue you. You may repeat, "I am rich," but if in identity you are poor, the subconscious will obey the identity, not the words. One man came to me and said, "Neville, I affirm wealth every day, yet I remain in lack." I asked him, "When you affirm, who do you see yourself as? Do you see yourself as the poor man, begging for riches, or as the wealthy man acknowledging his supply?" He admitted, "I see myself as the poor man still." I told him, that is the problem. Shift the self you identify with. Be the wealthy one now, and the world will reflect it. And so he began. He imagined himself not waiting for money, but already living as one provided for. He walked with confidence, thought from wealth, gave freely in imagination. In time, opportunities arose, and the outer matched his new inner identity. Another woman said, "Neville, I cannot imagine wealth because I have never known it." I told her, identity is not memory. Identity is choice. You are not bound to what you have lived. You are free to choose who you are in imagination. Choose now to be the wealthy one. She did, and though her past had been poverty, her future became prosperity. Understand this. The greatest command you can give to the subconscious is not merely, I have money. It is, I am wealth. Not wealth as possession only, but wealth as identity. For when you assume wealth as self, every thought, every action, every vibration aligns with that state. The outer world has no choice but to reflect it. This is why Scripture says, let the weak say, I am strong. Not I will be strong, but I am. It is an assumption of identity. So too with wealth. Say not I will be rich, but I am wealthy now. Speak it, feel it, live it as though no other state exists. Your imagination is the workshop of identity. Each scene you play, each role you assume, shapes who you believe yourself to be. And who you believe yourself to be, the world will mirror back to you. So tonight, do not only imagine money in your hand. Imagine yourself as the one for whom money naturally flows. Walk in imagination as the confident, generous, abundant one. See yourself giving, receiving, enjoying. Assume that identity, and wealth will obey. Here is a practice for you. Before sleep, stand in imagination and say softly, I am wealth. I am abundance. I am divine supply made visible. Do not see yourself outside wealth, chasing it. See yourself as wealth itself, clothed in flesh. Feel the dignity of it, the freedom of it. Carry that identity into slumber and let the subconscious seal it. I ask you now, who are you in imagination? A beggar or a master? A seeker or a possessor? The law is impartial. It will confirm whichever you assume. Comment below the identity you will claim tonight. Write it boldly, as though carving it into stone. And subscribe, for in Inner Alchemy, we are not merely teaching wealth as possession, but wealth as identity. For identity commands, and money must obey. There is a doorway into creation that few know, though it stands open to all. I call it the state akin to sleep. It is the borderland between waking and slumber, where the conscious guard grows drowsy and the subconscious stands receptive. In this state, imagination commands with greatest authority. You have experienced it many times without knowing. It is that moment when you drift, when the body relaxes, when thoughts become fluid, when images rise like dreams, yet you are still aware. This is SATS, the state akin to sleep. Why is it so powerful? Because in full wakefulness, the conscious mind argues. It says, I am poor. The facts deny me. This cannot be true. But in SATS, the guard relaxes. The rational voice grows faint. The subconscious listens without defense. Whatever image you present in that state, it accepts. And what it accepts, it creates. Therefore, if you would command money, use SATS. Lie down in comfort. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Let the body grow heavy. Let the mind grow quiet. As you drift, imagine one simple scene that would be true if your wealth were already real. Perhaps you are counting money. Perhaps you are giving a gift. Perhaps you are hearing a friend say, "Congratulations, you are free." Keep the scene short. Repeat it gently. Do not strain. Let it loop until it feels natural. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the relief. Let the emotions seep into you until it feels as though you have truly lived the moment. Then allow yourself to drift fully into sleep. In this way, the image sinks into the subconscious as seed into fertile soil. All night long, the subconscious works upon it. It reorganizes the outer world, arranges circumstances, moves people, opens doors. What you plant in Sats is carried into creation. I recall a man who nightly imagined holding a check with his name upon it. He felt its texture, saw the ink, heard himself say, "It is mine." At first it was but imagination, but within months he received the very sum he had pictured. He told me it felt as though life conspired to deliver it. I said, "No, my friend, life obeyed. Your imagination commanded." Another woman, weary of debt, entered Sats each night and imagined her banker congratulating her on her freedom. She heard the words, saw the smile, felt the relief. Soon her debts were cleared through unexpected provision. She said, "I do not know how it happened." I replied, "You do not need to know how. The law works in silence. You need only assume." This is the hidden teaching. The state akin to sleep is the secret chamber where commands are sealed. Many pray with words in full wakefulness, but their conscious resistance cancels the prayer. In Sats, resistance dissolves. Faith takes root. So tonight, do not drift into sleep with idle worries. Do not rehearse lack. Enter the holy chamber of Sats and command money with imagination. Choose one scene. Keep it simple. Live in it as though it were now. Feel it as though it were true. And drift into slumber as the wealthy one already fulfilled. The subconscious will not argue. It will obey. I ask you now, what scene will you carry into Sats tonight? Will it be worry, or wealth, fear, or freedom? Comment below the image you will choose, for in writing it, you affirm it. And subscribe, for in Inner Alchemy, we unveil not only the principles, but the practices, the hidden methods by which imagination commands, and money, like all else, obeys. Imagination alone is powerful, yes. Words alone carry vibration, yes. But when you unite the two, vision and speech, image and affirmation, you wield a double-edged sword of creation. For the subconscious listens to both what you see inwardly and what you say outwardly. And when they agree, the impression becomes irresistible. Consider this. If you imagine wealth, but speak of lack, you send conflicting orders. The subconscious receives two commands and is confused. One moment you picture abundance. The next you say, "I cannot afford this." One moment you see yourself free. The next you declare, "I am broke." And so your world remains divided, reflecting the contradiction. But when your words confirm your vision, the command is sealed. One man told me, "Neville, I imagine wealth at night, but during the day, I find myself saying, I'm always behind." I said, "You are canceling your own seed. Your words uproot what imagination plants." Change your speech, and your harvest will change. Another woman confessed, "I affirm, but my imagination still shows me poor." I said, "Then your words are hollow. Fill them with vision. As you affirm, see the scene fulfilled. Do not say, 'I am wealthy,' without picturing yourself as such. Speak and see at the same time. That unity will move the subconscious to act. So here is the practice. Choose one simple affirmation. Let it be clear, present, and positive. For example, money flows freely to me, or I am supplied now. As you repeat it softly, inwardly create a scene that proves it. Perhaps you're holding money. Perhaps you're paying bills with ease. Perhaps you're receiving thanks for a gift given. Let the image rise as you speak the words. The words give direction. The image gives substance. Together they impress the subconscious as reality. Think of it as writing a script for a play. The words are the dialogue. The imagination is the stage. Alone they may not persuade, but together they convince. And the subconscious, believing the play to be reality, brings it to pass. Do not repeat your affirmations mechanically. Repeat them with vision. Let each word conjure a picture. Let each picture stir an emotion. This trinity, Word, image, feeling is the true command. One student of mine practiced this faithfully. Each night, she said softly, "I am wealthy now." As she spoke, she pictured herself opening her purse, finding it full, giving freely. She felt the joy, the gratitude. Within months, her income doubled. She told me, "Neville, it was as though my words painted the picture, and the picture became my life." This is no accident. It is law. The subconscious does not resist a command reinforced by both sight and sound. So tonight, let your speech and your vision agree. Do not say one thing and imagine another. Unite them. When you affirm, see. When you see, affirm. Let them flow together until the line between word and image dissolves. Then let the feeling seal it. Speak as though it were true. See as though it were real. Feel as though it were now. And the subconscious, receiving no contradiction, will obey. I ask you, what words will you join with your vision tonight? What affirmation will you speak as you imagine wealth fulfilled? Declare it in the comments and let it be your vow. And subscribe. For here in Inner Alchemy, we do not divide word from vision, nor imagination from speech. We unite them. And in unity lies power. For when you speak and see as one, the world cannot resist your command. Imagination is not confined to the moments before sleep. It is the atmosphere of your being. If you would command money, you must not only enter the state in the quiet hours, you must carry it with you into the noise of the day. Too many of you imagine at night, but betray the vision by day. You affirm abundance in the evening, then rise in the morning and speak of lack. You see wealth in the quiet chamber, but as soon as the bills arrive, you collapse into fear. Do you not see? The subconscious is listening always. The command is weakened when you live in contradiction. Therefore, persistence is required. Not persistence in straining, but persistence in remembering. The wealthy state must become your second nature. When you walk through the market, see yourself as supplied. When you receive a bill, imagine it paid. When you speak with others, speak from the identity of one who has, not one who begs. I recall a man who imagined wealth faithfully at night, but lived in despair by day. He told me, "Neville, I try, but the facts overwhelm me." I said, "Facts are shadows. The cause is in imagination. Carry the end with you. When you see lack, do not bow to it. Quietly return to your scene fulfilled. Let it be a secret possession you hold within." He practiced, and soon his days felt lighter. The outer facts, once terrifying, lost their power. And in time, they shifted to reflect the inner vision. Another woman said, "Neville, how can I persist when others around me speak only of fear?" I told her, "Do not argue with them. Do not resist them. Simply remain faithful inwardly. Let their words pass, but keep your inner scene alive. The subconscious obeys your vision, not theirs." Persistence is not about fighting the world. It is about refusing to abandon your assumption. Carry it gently, like a flame sheltered from the wind. Here is how to practice. Choose one simple imaginal scene that represents your wealth fulfilled. Perhaps it is holding a bank statement with surplus. Perhaps it is hearing a friend say, "You are so fortunate." Each time the outer world tempts you to doubt, return inwardly to that scene. Replay it briefly. Feel it again. This is persistence. It may take seconds only, but it keeps the state alive. Do this throughout the day, and the subconscious remains saturated with the command. At first, it may feel like effort, but soon it becomes natural. Just as a man in love thinks often of his beloved without strain, so you will think of your wealth fulfilled without trying. It will become the background of your mind. And once it is natural, the outer must conform. Do not despise small acts of persistence. Each return to the scene strengthens it. Each refusal to bow to doubt waters the seed. The harvest is certain. So I ask you now, will you persist? Or will you surrender at the first sight of lack? Will you carry the end faithfully? Or will you betray it by day while affirming it by night? The choice is yours. Declare in the comments, I will persist in the end. By writing it, you anchor your decision. And subscribe, for in Inner Alchemy, we walk together in persistence, carrying the unseen until it becomes seen, living in the end until the world bows to imagination's command. You must understand this. Money itself is not the root. It is the fruit. And the fruit cannot exist without the tree. Money is a shadow, a symbol, a form of something deeper, a state of consciousness. When I say command money with imagination, I am not telling you to worship pieces of paper or digits in an account. I'm telling you to assume the state of wealth in consciousness, and the symbols will follow. Look closely at your life. Everything you now call fact was once only a state of mind. The job you hold, the home you live in, the clothes you wear, all were drawn into being by the state you occupied inwardly. You did not receive them by chance. You received them because of who you believed yourself to be. So with money, if you dwell in the state of lack, money cannot remain. If you dwell in the state of wealth, money must appear. The outer symbol obeys the inner state. One man said to me, Neville, I want more money so I can feel secure. I told him, you are reversing the order. First, assume the state of security, and money will arrive as its shadow. If you chase the shadow, you will never catch it. If you stand in the light, the shadow follows you naturally. Another woman said, I long for money so I can feel free. I told her, feel free now in imagination. See yourself moving, giving, enjoying. The state of freedom will attract the symbol called money. But if you imagine bondage, no sum will release you. Do you see? Money is not the cause. It is the echo. The cause is always your inner state. This is why many who suddenly gain riches lose them quickly. Their state was still poverty, and the outer must conform. And others who begin with little rise to great wealth because inwardly they assumed the state of abundance. So I tell you, stop chasing money as though it were God. Command the state instead. Live in the end of wealth, the feeling of freedom, the ease of provision, the joy of generosity. Assume it now. The symbols will gather around you as obedient servants. This is why Christ said, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. The kingdom is the state of consciousness assumed. The things, money, possessions, opportunities, are mere additions, inevitable consequences. I recall a student who told me, Neville, I imagine specific sums, but they do not come. I asked him, do you imagine yourself as wealthy or as still poor, hoping for a number? He admitted, as poor, hoping. I said, then you've missed it. Assume the state, not the number. Feel the wealth itself, and the number will come. He shifted his focus. Instead of picturing sums, he lived in the state of abundance. Soon, opportunities came, and the sums exceeded his expectation. He said, I realized the money was only the shadow of the state I carried. So, tonight, do not imagine numbers alone. Do not cling to figures. Assume the state. Be the wealthy one now. Walk, think, breathe as though no other state exists. The world must mirror it. For imagination does not give you money, it gives you identity. And identity commands money to obey. I ask you, what state will you assume tonight? Poverty or wealth? Fear or freedom? Scarcity or abundance? Comment below your chosen state, for by declaring it, you anchor it. And subscribe, for in inner alchemy, we do not chase shadows. We seek the root, the state of consciousness, and let the symbols follow. For money is but the echo of imagination, and imagination is creation itself. So now, my friend, you have heard the hidden teaching. You know that money is not commanded by toil, nor by willpower, nor by fear. It is commanded by imagination. You have seen that effort without vision is slavery, that persistence in assumption is the secret of harvest, that feeling is the seal upon the image, that circulation, not hoarding, keeps wealth alive, that identity precedes possession, that the state akin to sleep is the holy chamber where commands are sealed, that words and visions together are a double force, that persistence by day nourishes the seed planted at night, and finally, that money is not the cause, but the echo of your assumed state of consciousness. This is the formula. This is the law, and it waits not for tomorrow, but for tonight. Do not listen and delay. Do not say, I will try later. For every night you drift into sleep, you are commanding something. You are planting seeds, whether of lack or of wealth, whether of fear or of faith. The law does not sleep. It obeys always. So I urge you, begin tonight. Before you sleep, close your eyes and enter Sats. Choose one scene that proves your wealth is real. See it, hear it, feel it. Join it with words of faith. Whisper softly, I am wealth. Money flows freely to me. It is done. Do not argue with facts. Facts are yesterday's creations. Command the state. Live in the end. Feel it until it is natural. Persist until the outer bows. And when doubt rises, return. When impatience tempts, rest in trust. When fear whispers, answer with faith. For imagination is creation, and creation obeys only imagination. I tell you with certainty, the money you seek already exists in the unseen. The supply is present, waiting for your command. Life is eager to mirror your vision. The world is plastic to your imagination. So tonight, will you command? Will you assume the state? Seal it with feeling. Persist in it until it hardens into fact? Or will you surrender again to lack, rehearsing the old? The choice is always yours. I invite you. Comment below and declare the wealth scene you will assume tonight. Write it boldly, for in writing it, you impress it deeper. Share it, and your words may inspire another to faith. And subscribe, for here in Inner Alchemy, we do not merely speak of wealth, we command it. We do not chase money, we command states, and money obeys. I leave you with this. Imagine boldly, assume faithfully, persist joyfully. Command money with imagination, and life will arrange itself to deliver it. For imagination is not fantasy. Imagination is reality. And when you live in the end, wealth must come.